Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Kano Tryharding Modern. Today we'll be playing Tron. I'm sorry for so many contiguous limited videos. I know people tend to get drowned in limited content right at the start of a new set release, but also, I really enjoy the Strixhaven format, and that's all I had pre-recorded, and some stuff came up, so I wasn't able to record for a couple of days, but we're back, and we're going to be playing some Tron. Tron currently, according to Goldfish, like the third most popular deck in Modern or fourth most popular deck in Modern right now. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but this is a recent list that did well. And this is a 19 land threat heavy list that is playing relics in the main deck. So, for those of you that don't know, basically, if you're playing 18 lands, you're playing all of these lands except Ghost Quarter, and 19 land lists generally exist playing a Ghost Quarter. Both of those are valid. You can play either one. It's whether or not you want to account for the Tron matchup or not, basically. Relic is basically a concession to Dredge. It's generally not bad to have, even in non-Dredge related matchups, as most decks nowadays are starting to use their graveyard, but it is a 2-mana cycle, so it's not that bad. Also, it's wishable with Karn. If you exile, if your opponent makes you discard an artifact that you want, you can exile your grave and then wish for it with Karn Great Creator. This version is playing 2 Thrag Tusks and 3 Wormcoil Engines in the main, so that's telling me that this is a way to, or in an attempt to combat Blitz slash Dread, or not Dredge, Blitz slash like Prowess. I haven't seen any Lumimancer decks, but I haven't played for a couple of days, so we'll see. Hopefully I won't regret not having Dismembers in this list. 2 Ugin, 2 Ulamog, 4 Karn Liberated seems reasonable. Some slight changes in the wish board. This version's playing Spyglass. In previous videos, I've enumerated the list between Spyglass and Pithing Needle. Basically, that if you are very, very good at the game and incredibly knowledgeable about the current metagame, you should not need Spyglass. You should play Pithing Needle in almost all circumstances. If you are unaware of what your opponent is playing, or you're not able to keep up exactly on the cutting edge of the metagame or anything, Sorcerer's Spyglass is fine, but there have been several instances across all of my Tron videos where if I had had Pithing Needle instead of Spyglass, I would have won. Crucible of Worlds, I am not a fan of. I do not like it in the wish board. I think it is way too slow versus the decks it is supposedly good against. So I am a little bit sad every time I see this card included, because the games that it would win you, the percentage of games that it would win you is much smaller than if it were another wishboard threat or another silver bullet that hits a different edge case. Of that, I'm almost certain. Third Oblivion Stone, so 1 to wish for in the side, 2 in the main. I don't hate that. I like being able to wish for the Oblivion Stone occasionally. I think Oblivion Stone is generally better in the sideboard, especially if you're playing Ugins. I think All Is Dust is slightly more performant than Oblivion Stone. Generally, you play Oblivion Stone when you're running into Blood Moons and stuff like that, and you still need a board wipe. I'm not sure how much of that is running around the current metagame. Love Trinisphere, 3-ball for life. We'll play... We got a 4th Wormcoil Engine in the sideboard, so it's always good to have a Wormcoil Engine in the side to wish for as an additional threat. Same with Sundering Titan. Kozilek as a hedge versus control / mill. It's always nice to have. I've got a question recently about why Kozilek Butcher of Truth and not any of the other big titans, and not like Gaia's Blessing or the one other mill to shuffle rider card that I can't remember the name of. So, to answer that question for more than the person who just commented it on YouTube, the reason that we play Kozilek in the sideboard is, one, for mill. The reshuffle your graveyard in rider is important. But the other main reason is it's a threat that ends the game, and it only costs 10 mana. Original Ulamog cost 11, and obviously original Emrakul cost 15, and it costing 10 is exactly Tron plus 1 additional tower, which is the reason that we're playing Ulamog Ceaseless Hunger and not the old Ulamog Infinite Gyre, even though like Annihilator wins the game harder than 2 Exile triggers generally does. But I mean, Ulamog Ceaseless Hunger has instant value when you cast him. The card draw, the 4 cards that you draw or when you cast this spell are relevant versus control. It can be, not always. But it's basically because we can play this off of Tron plus an additional tower. is the reason that we play this card. And this card is better than Elixir of Immortality and better than Gaia's Cradle, or not Gaia's Cradle, not better than Gaia's Cradle, arguably, but it's better than Gaia's Blessing because it's a threat that ends the game and those other cards do not. So I hope that clears it up for anybody else who had that question. And last but not least, we have a Walking Ballista in the side. And I definitely think Walking Ballista belongs in Tron decks. I just think it belongs in the sideboard of Tron decks and not in the main deck unless the metagame is full of X1s that you really, really need to kill. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into a modern competitive league and we'll see how we do. All right, we are on the play for round 1 with double Sylvan Scrying. So this hand is actually Thoughtseize proof. Well, not proof, but Thoughtseize resistant, I should say. And we have 2/3 of Tron plus a Sylvan Scrying we can actually cast, which is fantastic. If we get Thoughtseize, our opponent probably should take Karn Great Creator. This is looking like Death Shadow, could be Burn. We get Inquisition. It could also be Jund. It could be Jund. Because they didn't reveal Luris. Alright, so we untap. They took Sylvan Scrying because they can't take Karn. Cycle for green. Draw another Sylvan Scrying. Cast the one with the art they know about. If you're playing on Moto, it is technically correct to always pick the same art for your entire playset of a card if possible, because of situations like that. Like my opponent just Inquisitioned me, knew that I had 2 Sylvan Scryings with the same art, and I just drew a different art Sylvan Scrying. So if I cast this one, my opponent knew my draw for that turn, and that can matter a lot. Okay, opponent plays a Tarmogoyf. We untap, draw Chromatic Star. Okay, so we have 2 lines that we can take here. I can play out Karn, wish for Sundering Titan. I actually have 3 different things I could do. I can play Karn, wish for Trinisphere, play Trinisphere. I can play Chromatic Star and play Thragtusk and have a blocker and gain a bunch of life. I think having the Sundering Titan in hand is actually pretty good. I could also play out Karn, animate a Chromatic Sphere, and then Karn should survive the attack. That's somewhat reasonable. Karn only dies in that circumstance if my opponent has, like, a Lightning Bolt. I don't think I can get my hand low enough to wish for Ensnaring Bridge. I cannot. Well, regardless, we're playing Tower. So we got Trinisphere, Sundering Titan off of Karn, or we have Thragtusk. I think Thragtusk is our weakest play, so I'm going to play Karn. I'm going to take another route that I didn't necessarily enumerate. I'm going to play Karn, I'm going to play 2 Chromatic Stars, and I'm going to animate one of them. This should let Karn survive, and it puts a couple of onboard redraws that won't cost us mana next turn. So if Karn survives, by virtue of my opponent not having a Lightning Bolt or enough stuff to dump in the grave that Tarmogoyf gets large enough to kill him, we can wish for Sundering Titan and then just Titan our opponent out of the game. Because we should draw another land with this many redraws. Opponent plays a Nurturing Peatland. So we're not scared of a Liliana. I could actually Sylvan Scrying for another tower if I was going to wish for Sundering Titan. That would provide enough mana. Kolaghan's Command. Alright. We draw Blast Zone. Unfortunately, this gives him just enough damage to kill Karn here. Okay. We untap and draw Relic. I'm going to start by cycling Star for green. We get another Thragtusk. Play Thragtusk. Gain life. Play Blast Zone. And play Relic. Pass the turn. So if we want to, we can shrink our opponent's Tarmogoyf by exiling the grave. This effectively stops them from attacking. They Inquisition us and take Scrying. That's fine. And opponent scoops. Didn't expect that, honestly. So versus Jund. And by this I mean regular Jund, not Jund Death Shadow. What do they play as anti-Tron hate? They play Cleansing Wildfire and Ashiok Dreamrender, as well as Necromentia, according to the most recent metagame information, which I'm just using NPG Goldfish right now. They do have Ghost Quarter as well. I think this necessitates Veil of Summer. I'm going to drop a O-Stone and a Thragtusk, and we're going to try it like this. So I'm kind of hoping for another fast Tron hand. This is not technically a fast Tron hand, but I'm going to keep it. Odds are we get Inquisitioned and our opponent takes our Ancient Stirrings. We're basically just going to play out Tron lands here, and hopefully we do draw something. before our opponent has Search Hate. Opponent did mulligan to 6. They play Verdant Catacombs, crack it, get an Overgrown Tomb, untapped, and Inquisition. So O-Stone or Stirrings, they probably take Stirrings. Stirrings just provides the most versatility for us, so... Alright, play Mine, pass the turn. Untaps, shocks a Stomping Ground, plays a small Tarmogoyf. We untap, draw Sylvan Scrying, play Power Plant, pass the turn. I could have played a Forest and Sylvan Scryinged for a tower that turn, but I don't think that was correct. Because this gives us the option of potentially top-decking a tower. Okay. Opponent of the 2 lands hits the right one because we redrew an additional mine. Opponent hits us for 2, I think. Yep. We untap and draw Sanctum. Sylvan Scrying. Opponent cracks Bloodstained Mire. Gets a Blood Crypt tapped. We are going to get Tower. Play Tower. Now the reason that I got Tower and I didn't get Power Plant is because if my opponent is playing Necromentia or anything like that, I don't want them to just be able to straight out name one card. Because actually, does Necromentia search graves? Probably does. Yep, okay. Well, put a Bloodbraid Elves into Lily. That's pretty good. Okay, opponent upticks Lily. We're going to discard this Forest. Opponent discards a Blood Crypt. We're getting hit for a lot. I would really like to draw a Power Plant, because then I could just O-Stone them. Relic. So I can either play Karn, Great Creator, and Wish, or I can play Relic and cycle Relic. I think playing Relic here is better, because it shrinks the Goyf down to 0. So it saves us a bunch of life, as well as gets us 1 card deeper. Opponent draws a card. Okay, we get Inquisition, so they take Oblivion Stone and have no other targets. Honestly, if our next 2 top decks are Power Plant Ugin, we win this game. Kolaghan's Command, they're making us discard and destroying this as an artifact. Alright, we're going to cycle Relic. This is going to end up shrinking Goyf down to a 2/3, because we have to discard a card type that won't be in the grave. Unless I top deck Veil of Summer. Blast Zone. Blast Zone doesn't help that much. So we're going to discard Sanctum. Opponent is going to uptick Liliana, and we have to make a choice about what to discard here. We can save ourselves 1 damage by discarding Blast Zone, which could matter, because Blast Zone is going to take 2 turns to do anything, so I don't think keeping it is correct. It lets us play our Singleton Thragtusk if we draw it, which actually would buy us a lot of time. In that case, I think we get rid of Karn Liberated. Okay. Opponent hits us for 6. We go to 7, untap, we draw Karn Liberated. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and scoop it up. And run it back. This time we will be on the play. I would like to play first. Alright, we're going to keep. This is a quick Tron hand, potentially with protection from Assassin's Trophy, depending on whether or not we draw a Chromatic Sphere Star. Like, we are holding a Forest, which is good. I could lead on Forest just to get around the first piece of hand hate if they've got it, but if they don't have it, that line is so atrociously bad. Play Power Plant, play Map, pass the turn. Opponent mulligan to 6. It's interesting. They lead on Blood Crypt untapped. Thoughtseize, so they can take anything they want. They take Worm Coil. Okay. We untap, draw another map, play Mine, pass the turn. I don't think playing a Forest and a map that turn was correct, like to just leave up Veil of Summer. I think if my opponent is going to Assassin's Trophy us, they're going to have to do it on their own end step. And then we're set up even better. Cleansing Wildfire. Okay, so let's go get a Power Plant, get a Forest, untap, draw Karn Great Creator, play Power Plant, play Map, pass the turn. Now we have Veil or Map. So Veil's slightly less good if they cast another Cleansing Wildfire, of course. Opponent plays a Raging Ravine. They do have Assassin's Trophy. Yeah, we just Veil this. So we untap, draw Ghost Quarter, map for Tower, play Karn. So here's a situation where if I had Pithing Needle, it would be better than Sorcerer's Spyglass. I would probably wish for Needle. But I think I'm just going to play Map. Map number 3. Uptick Karn, no targets. Pass the turn. So my opponent, in order to kill Karn, would need basically a Bloodbraid Elf into a Lightning Bolt, or multiple bolts in hand, or another Assassin's Trophy would do it. There's the Bloodbraid. Cleansing Wildfire. Wow. What a top deck. Okay, we hit a Forest. They land Bloodbraid Elf. Hit Karn down to 3. We untap. Draw Chromatic Sphere. Activate Map. Get Tower. Play Tower. And we're going to wish for Wormcoil Engine here. And play Chromatic Sphere alongside it. It's always nice to have a Wormcoil Engine in the sideboard. Frequently, I find myself in lists that only run it in the main deck. Versus a lot of decks, the fact that it doesn't impact the instant it hits the board matters a lot, but sometimes you still want a beat stick. So occasionally, siding out a single Wormcoil when you have multiple in the deck, just to have one that you can wish for, I find is actually quite powerful. Opponent plays Renin 6. They ping down Karn. And scoop the match. Alright, round 1 versus Jund, it's ours. I'll see you guys in round 2. Alright, round 2, and we'll be on the draw. This hand is a little bit risky. I mean, potentially it could get us to Tron and has double Karn. We're against a guy whose name is Tron Walker. I think we can do better at 6 than this opener. This might technically be better if we have 3 draws to hit a Tron land and then tutor for the third one. I think this is okay. I'm going to keep this hand. This hand is a little bit sketch. I just don't feel like mulliganing to 5 right now. Might still be correct. Okay. Opponent leads on Urza's Mine. So they are on Tron. We draw Blast Zone. Play Power Plant and Star. Pass the turn. So we'll see how good their Tron hand is, because they mulligan to 5. Opponent cycles Urza's Mine for green into an Oath of Nissa. I find that this is an okay Ancient Stirrings number 3 effect. It gets most of the cards you're looking for. Creature, land, or planeswalker. So basically Tron Threat or Tron Land, hopefully. It just doesn't dig quite as far. Opponent finds a forest, so they do at least get a second land. They have the second Tron land. We untap and draw Karn. Cycle Star. Power plant, or Minor Tower. Minor Tower, come on. Tower, got him. Sylvan Scrying. Get Urza's Mine. Pass the turn. Now we gotta hope they don't have it and we do. They don't have it. And, we do. Karn liberated? GG's? Question mark. Nuke a land. Pass the turn. Another power plant. Sylvan Scrying. They're fighting hard. Getting an Urza's Tower. We untap. Draw a map. Take out power plant. Play Great Creator. Wish. Get Coding. Play Coding. Play map. Play power plant. Pass the turn. Stop on my opponent's upkeep. We'll shut off the forest. And we can even map for Ghost Quarter here, if somehow that wasn't enough. Alright, so versus our opponent, we're going to bring in the Nature's Claims. I'm going to drop a Thragtusk and a Wormcoil, and we're going to run it back. Alright, we'll be on the draw. Someone did it. Someone took my advice and put Serum Powder in Tron. And not just any Tron, Doubling Seasons Tron. Oh my goodness. Alright, well, this is definitely not an opener we can keep. Oh, second Serum Powder! And they've exiled a whole set of Tron, plus 1 power plant. My goodness. Alright, we're gonna mulligan. What spice? Something tells me I need to keep this hand. So I'm going to keep this hand. This hand we get to lead on map, and turn 2 we have the option of Nature's Claim or Activate map. And if my opponent leads on Expedition map, I'm sniping it. Opponent mulligan to 4 in addition to powdering twice. Unbelievable. Claim? Opponent untaps. Second map. Oh man. I'm about to get wrecked, aren't I? Alright, play a tower. Play map. Play star. Pass the turn. Someone finally did it. I've been saying, if my mulligans keep acting like garbage, I'm going to put Serum Powder in this deck. And somebody beat me to the punch. Alright, so they got Tron. Or do they? We untap. Draw Sylvan Scrying. Power plant, power plants. They revealed power plant. Map for Ghost Quarter? Play Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter power plant? Pass the turn. Now, if my opponent plays a Karn Great Creator, I'm going to feel real silly. But that's why we mapped instead of casting Scrying, for anyone who was wondering. Alright, we untap. We draw a star. Cycle star for green. We're really trying to hit another Tron land. Power plant. Alright. Sylvan Scrying will get a mine. Play the mine. Play a star. Pass the turn. This is to give us the most potential redraws next turn. Opponent finds a sphere. Plays a sphere. Cracks the sphere for green. Sylvan Scryings. They get a power plant, and they play it. Well, we untap. We draw a Thragtusk. Cycle star for green. Another power plant. I don't think taking myself off Ugin this turn is correct. So I'm going to play power plant, and I'm going to play Ugin. Hopefully that's enough to deal with whatever my opponent plays next turn. Pass the turn. So I think power plant is my... No, was that the card I tutored for last? Might have been. So my opponent is out of power plants. That's their last one. Because they exiled 2 to Serum Powders. 7 mana. Maybe I should have played Thragtusk because it's resilient to even getting exiled. They play Karn. I was going to say, there's no way they Stone Rain us this turn. Opponent plays a mine. We untap. We draw a map. That's not what you want to see. So, play a sphere. Sack sphere for green. We get a Nature's Claim, which doesn't help. Play a power plant. Play a Thragtusk. I'm tapping in a very specific way as well. Play a map. Play a map. Because this way, if my opponent decides to Stone Rain me, I can map for whatever land they take me off of. If they uptick, they only get a Nature's Claim, which won't matter too much. That's annoying. So it is correct to crack map in response. And we're going to get a tower. Alright. And the reason we're doing this is if my opponent upticks Karn instead of downticking to take out our Urza's Mine, potentially I could Nature's Claim something. Sorry, my brain just said like 3 different things at once. Potentially they could uptick Karn, we could give them tower, and then we have Nature's Claim if they play an artifact that they wish for. That was what I was trying to say. And then like maybe I could play a threat if they didn't take me off Tron. So opponent needs to wish for something, or we're just gonna kill Karn. They have to play some kind of threat. And if it's Wormcoil Engine, that's saddening. It's Wormcoil Engine, so I'm sad. Opponent wishes. What are they gonna get? Sorceress Spyglass. Well, we draw Urza's Mine. So I guess we play it. And pass the turn. Opponent untaps. So they'll probably lead on Spyglass unless they have something like Ulamog. At which point I probably should have played out Tower and not Mine. The only thing that Mine mattered for is if my opponent plays another Karn Liberated and for some reason decided to uptick. Okay, there's the Spyglass. Which, if it names anything we draw, we can claim. They name Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Okay. They play Chromatic Sphere. Crack it for green. They play a redundant tower. They're wishing. Oh, I guess, never mind. I was going to say, looking at their second powder, it kind of amazes me. They're playing bridge? They're not even going to attack first? I mean, okay, I don't have to respond to that. We untap. We draw forest. Play tower. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Opponent is upticking Karn Great Creator, no targets. And is now passing. We untap. We draw a Chromatic Star. Play Star, which we can't cycle. Play Forest. I could Nature's Claim my star for a redraw. But if I'm going to do that, it's going to be a response to something. Like my opponent's end step, probably. I think my opponent's going to uptick until they can get Liquid Metal Coating. Opponent plays Doubling Season. Not sure what this is for. Unless it's for like a fast Karn restart. It's scary. I'm surprised this is not a symmetrical effect. Opponent upticks Karn to 3. We untap. We draw Wormcoil Engine. Oof. I'm gonna take a risk. I don't think this is right, necessarily. But I'm gonna Nature's Claim my own Chromatic Star here. Because if I can draw like Ulamog, this game's over. Relic. Play Relic. I can't activate it. I keep thinking I can activate these things. Play Wormcoil. Pass the turn. So my opponent can wish for Liquid Metal Coating next turn and start blowing up lands the turn after. Unless they have a second Karn Great Creator, at which point they can take us off of Tron. Opponent plays Chromatic Star. Cycles it for red. Samut the Tested. Up to 1 creature gets double strike. Search your library for 2 creature and or planeswalker cards. They're going to enter with double the counters because of doubling season. Now we're definitely playing against a jank Tron list, and my opponent's going to ult like 3 Karns. Nicol Bolas, Dragon God. I don't even care to see how you're going to win. But going on to round 3, I think I'm going to drop an Ugin. Actually, am I? What would I bring in? Like Thragtusk? I don't think Thragtusk is better than an Ugin. Just the repeatable lightning bolts. Like, upticking twice wins the game. I don't know that my opponent's build is better than the regular build of Tron, but it is definitely more interesting, and I'll give him that. Alright, so I would like to play first. Being on the play is everything here. This hand is not good. This hand is definitely good. Most Tron decks cannot beat turn 3 Karn Liberated. I'm going to put back Thragtusk. Opponent is doing some amount of mulliganing over there. So opponent is mulliganed to 6 and is now in the tank. They're exiling 6 cards to Serum Powder twice. They have Emrakul and Nahiri in their deck. Alright. So they're not going to be able to Emrakul us this game. What other cards did they exile? I see Karn Liberated. I see a Power Plant. Play Mine. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They cycle Star for green. Ancient Stirrings. So if we have the option of sniping a particular land, we should go for Power Plant. And they play a Power Plant, so we will. Okay, we untap. Draw Sylvan Scrying. Play Tower. Play Karn. Exile Power Plant. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Tower. We untap. Draw Power Plant. Exile Tower. Play a Forest. Play Ugin. And next turn, if they play another Tron land, we can Sylvan Scrying for Ghost Quarter. And that should delay them long enough that we can ult Ugin and hopefully win the game. Another Tower. We untap and draw O-Stone. Uptick Ugin to 11. Sylvan Scrying. We'll get Ghost Quarter. Play Ghost Quarter. Take them off of Tower. I should have done this on their turn, actually, just in case they had Beast Within. It's not incredibly likely that they would, but possible. We'll play Oblivion Stone, just as an insurance policy. Pass the turn. Third Tower. Opponent hardcasts Serum Powder. Alright, we untap. We draw a Forest. And I came here to ult Ugin, so I'm gonna. Hopefully in the top 7 cards of our deck, we have a way we can win this game. Holy crap, we don't. 4, 5, 6, 7? We somehow did not find a win condition. Okay, new plan. Activate map. We're gonna get a Sanctum of Ugin. We're gonna play Sanctum of Ugin. Cycle for green. Draw a card. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. We found a win condition. We'll get Ulamog. Nuke Tower. Cycle this star for green. Get a redundant Ugin. Ancient Stirrings. Get Karn Great Creator. Rest of the bottom. Play Karn Great Creator. We shut off Serum Powder. We wish for Coding. Play Coding. Pass the turn. On my opponent's upkeep, shut off the Forest. And yeah, we're going to get the flawless victory with all of our win conditions on the board at the same time. Opponent plays their final Power Plant and scoops. Definitely an interesting build of Tron. And I think there is some merit to putting Serum Powder in Tron. I don't think it's necessarily good, but if your mulligan luck is as terrible as mine, you've at least thought about it once. So I might build a version of Tron like that just to test one of these days, but I am not going to include Oath of Nissa and a million Planeswalkers I can't cast without it. That much I will tell you. So I'll see you guys in round 3. Alright, so round 3 will be on the draw. We are versus Yorion deck. We have 2/3 of Tron, a Karn, and an Ancient Stirrings. I think this is worth keeping. If we get a Sphere, Star, Map, or Tower as our first draw, it's excellent. The problem is our opponent is on Yorian Taxes. There's a Sphere. Okay, that's really good. That gives us so many extra hits at trying to get a tower. The problem is Karn Liberated is not the best threat to cast against Yorian Taxes or any sort of Taxes deck. Hopefully my opponent does not have a Ghost Quarter early. They take up Vial to 1. They got a Ghost Quarter. They play a Stoneforge Mystic. So that's a little bit of a problem. Sword of Fire and Ice. Interesting choice. That probably means they're already holding Batterskull. But we drew Tower. Play Mine. Cycle Sphere for green. Play Star. Cycle Star for green. Get Sphere, play Stirrings. And I'll take Karn Great Creator. Rest of the bottom in any order. Pass the turn. We basically have to hope that they have to use both Ghost Quarter and a Plains to activate Stoneforge Mystic this turn. And that they don't just try and Ghost Quarter us. Which it looks like is what they're going to do. They did have the third land, so... Opponent passes. They're going to Ghost Quarter us on our draw step. In the hopes that we drew all of our basics, which we're getting pretty close to doing. We draw a Worm Coil. They Ghost Quarter our power plant. Get a forest. Go to our main. Play Tower. Play Sphere. Cycle Sphere. Okay. Now the reason that I didn't just play out Oblivion Stone there is because I'm going to basically need Tron to activate Oblivion Stone. It's the same clock if I don't have Tron, if I play it next turn, on when I'm going to activate it. And if I top deck Power Plant, I can just play and activate Oblivion Stone. Okay. Opponent's going to put Sword of Fire, or they're going to put Batterskull into play. So I was right about the Sword Tutor. Because generally versus Tron, they go and get Batterskull first, because they want to apply as much pressure as they possibly can. Opponent also found Field of Ruin. That's not good. I guess, no, that wouldn't matter. I was going to say, had I played Oblivion Stone and they activated Field, that was incorrect. They should have waited for our draw step. Alright, we untap. We draw another Urza's Mine. I think now I have to play out Oblivion Stone, and that's really our only chance of surviving, is that they don't have something big they can vial in this turn. Kind of surprised they didn't leave Stoneforge back to put Sword in that turn, but I guess they didn't need to. They play a fourth land. They're putting in Sword this turn. Suiting up the Charming Prince, they're going to hit us for 10. Okay, we go to 5. Then they shoot us down to 3. We untap, draw Tower, play Tower. Is there any reason to wait on activating Stone? No, it's actually more dangerous if I wait because they could pick up Batterskull and do more shenanigans that way. Nuke the board, force them to play at sorcery speed. This turn we can play Worm Coil Engine, which is hopefully enough to keep us alive. I could Karn and wish for Ballista or Sorcerer's Spyglass if I had to. They play Leon and Arbiter. We untap. We draw a Worm Coil Engine. So play a Mine, play Worm Coil. We have to hope they don't have a path. Okay, opponent untaps, they draw. Okay, they have an On Thin Ice. I would have been actually a little bit upset had they hit path there because just the increase in 20 cards. But if they're playing On Thin Ice as their actual removal spell of choice, that's more reasonable for them to have hit. Doing something on our draw step or not. So I can play Urza's Tower, I can play Karn Liberated. They don't have any creatures with Flash. I don't think. So we have two options. Both of them... I think we play Karn and we hit Leon and Arbiter here. I don't know what the odds that they have a Flash creature are. But the only Flash creature I know that they play is Restoration Angel, and they need 4 mana for that. So next turn, I could nuke their On Thin Iced land, and if they flash Resto and flashed Resto in response, I could play another Karn and take out Resto. Then that would give me a turn to actually connect with Worm Coil that's under On Thin Ice. We untap and draw another Karn. So play land, take out this land. Aha! I was right! Psychic Kano knows all. Play another Karn. Take out Resto. 1 life, baby! 1 life! Pass the turn. Oh man, am I so glad that Tron mana doesn't cost life like fetches and shocks. Even though it'd be way more balanced if it did. They have a path. We fail to find. They play Giver, which is a lethal attacker. Quite silly, in fact. Well, we draw Blast Zone. Play Blast Zone. Take our opponent's last card from their hand. It's on Thin Ice. Activate Blast Zone to get rid of the 1-drop. One life matters. Alright, so versus our opponent's deck, I am going to bring in Nature's Claim because it hits Batterskull as well as Aether Vial, and I'm going to go down, I think, at Ulamog, as it's going to be the hardest thing for us to cast with the least amount of impact, and a Relic of Progenitus, and we'll try it like this. Man, I can't believe I navigated that and called what they had by how they were playing. That is pretty nice. So, on the draw, this is not the hand I want to keep. This isn't either. This is also not, but I guess I have to. We'll keep the threat that we don't need Tron to cast necessarily, and we're going to lead on Expedition Map in the event that we do high roll. Opponent leads on Aether Vial. If I draw Nature's Claim, I'm going to lead with that, but I didn't. So we're going to go Urza's Tower into Expedition Map. If we draw a Minor Power Plant, we go in for the turn 3 Tron off Karn Great Creator play. If we don't, we're going to play a Forest and be sad. So on to, if opponent has Arbiter versus our map, that's bad. They get a Stoneforge Mystic, revealing Batterskull. That makes sense. We untap, draw Karn Liberated. Is it better to Stirrings or map here? Let's think about this. Because we have to play the Forest this turn. If I Stirrings and hit a Tron land, then I know which one to tutor for. But my opponent could have Arbiter, and as well as Vial in Batterskull. If I activate map now, I'm protected from anti-search stuff. But then I have less of a chance of hitting the Tron land I need. I still think activating map is correct, and I'm going to get a power plant. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent untaps. Vial ticking up to 2. So opponent did have Arbiter Ghost Quarter for our tower. We draw a Thragtusk. We're going to start getting Batterskulled here in a moment. Let's Ancient Stirrings. We get an Urza's Mine. Rest of the bottom. Play Power Plant. Pass the turn. So we would have had Tron, just not this turn, it would be next. I think, barring no other threats, if I draw a tower, or if I draw an Oblivion Stone into... Never mind. Opponent's got us. Too many Ghost Quarters. Dot deck. Okay, run it back. Alright, so for game 3 of round 3, we will be on the play. We have Mine into Stirrings off of Sphere with 2 Karn Great Creators and a Nature's Claim. This hand is interesting because if they lead on Aether Vial, I can slow them way down, but is not a very good proactive Tron hand without some God top decks. I think I've got a mulligan that hand. This hand is better, and I will keep putting back a redundant map, I think. So this hand is kind of interesting because what I can do here is I can lead on map, and turn 2, if my opponent leads on Aether Vial, I can play Sphere into Nature's Claim. Then I have 2 lands and a redraw to try and hit the next Tron piece. Play Sanctum, play Sphere, pass the turn. We're going to wait on Cracking Sphere, and I'm not going to play a star yet, because I still think that there's a possibility I could hit an artifact this turn. Such as Phyrexian Revoker. Not the artifact I thought I was going to hit, but still an important one to Nature's Claim. Cycle Sphere for green. We get Mine, Claim Revoker. We untap, draw another tower, play Mine, play Star, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a Ghost Quarter. They have a Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. Batterskull. Cycle Star for green. We get Karn. Activate map. We will get Power Plant. So they're going to have to Ghost Quarter, and they Ghost Quarter the tower, which is what I was hoping they would do, because we have another tower. We get a Forest, untap and draw, Karn Liberated. Play the Power Plant, play the Star, sack Star for green, play another Star, pass the turn. I was kind of hoping to hit an Oblivion Stone to put on board, Unfortunately, I didn't. Opponent has a Field of Ruin, so now they have to choose between activating Stoneforge or activating Field of Ruin. And it's probably going to be Stoneforge, because they're leaving Stoneforge back. We untap, we draw Karn, play Tower, play Karn, sack Sanctum. We will get a Wormcoil Engine. Karn resolves. We're going to try and hit Field of Ruin here. They can either spend their turn activating it and stay at 3 mana, but give us an additional mana, or they can Stoneforge in Batterskull, which it looks like is what they're doing. This is fine because we have another Karn, and hopefully they don't have a third Ghost Quarter effect in their 80-card deck opening 7. Cycle Star for green, play Sphere, cycle Sphere for green, another Forest. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we did not hit our other Nature's Claim, which would have been amazing. Would have been absolute god tier top decks. Oh my god! So they kill Karn. They hit us for 1. Like, my only hope is to draw whatever they field. They field our tower. We get a forest. We untap. We draw Power Plant. Play Power Plant. Pass the turn. I am a little bit upset about them having 3 Ghost Quarter effects. Never mind, 4. Why stop at 3? Why? You know, like, why not just have the nuts? I'm a little bit salty about that. Just a little bit. Oh, yep. Make a big flying germ token. You got it. Ridiculous. The worst part is, even if I somehow could play Karn this turn, and I nuke Batterskull, they still have a germ token and a Field of Ruin. Oh, we go to 13. I think my only hope is to top deck Tower, play Karn, nuke Field, top deck Ugin or O-Stone. Alright. Urza's is mine. Play Wormcoil. Pass the turn. So now they can't just Ghost Quarter me again to, like, keep me 2 lands off Tron. We are going to make it to 7 lands unless my opponent has another Ghost Quarter effect. Thankfully, they don't. 3 mana. They put Yorion into their hand. Opponent hits us for 6. We go to 7. And they have Phyrexian Revoker. Don't say Karn Liberated. They pick Karn Liberated. That was my only answer to the Germ token. We got a top deck again. Tower. Tower does not do it. So I can play Karn. I can't activate him. If I attack, I immediately lose to the first strike. Well, we get 2 tokens, actually. That slightly might actually increase our chances of living, having the 2 tokens versus just having the 1 Wormcoil. No, it doesn't. This is really dumb. I needed the Wormcoil engine because I needed to gain 6 life, not 3 life. Alright. The good news is, we do have a slight chance. Even if we get Field of Ruined this turn and they take out our tower, we can still play Ugin, wipe the board. Even through that punt, that should win me the game. They're going to hit us for 6. We go down to 1. We basically have to top deck exactly Ugin. Nothing else does it. O-Stone would work as well, I guess. But not as well. Ugin would technically, I think, work. No, O-Stone actually would be comparable. Opponent gets Sword. Okay. Ugin or O-Stone. Karn, Great Creator. Does that do it? Play out our land. So I can play Karn, wish for O-Stone, play O-Stone, and have exactly 5 mana to activate it. The alternative is getting Ensnaring Bridge and definitely losing to Spirit of the Labyrinth. Or not Spirit of the Labyrinth, Skyclave Apparition. Play Karn, Great Creator, wish, get Oblivion Stone, play Oblivion Stone, activate it while they can't pick up... Oh, hang on. I can technically leave up green mana here. Blow up the world. Pass the turn. Opponent has 4 cards in hand, though. We gotta hope that they only have, like, 1 threat and that Karn Liberated can deal with it. Or that we top deck insanely well. Opponent fields our tower. We get our last forest. Thins our deck. They play out Linvala. That technically meets the qualities of can be answered by Karn Liberated. We draw Karn, Great Creator. Play Karn Liberated. Exile Linvala. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Draws a card. They play Leonin Arbiter. And a land. They have 2 cards left in hand. They play Sword of Fire and Ice. We untap. We draw Sylvan Scrying. So we still have towers left in the deck, so Sylvan Scrying. I can't search. Oh my god. What is wrong with me? I needed to activate Leonin Arbiter's ability and search. I could still get out of this. I'm just way worse off. So the plan was get tower, play Karn, get Ensnaring Bridge, Uptick Karn liberated. We survive because they can't attack us. Now we have to take a different line. Exile Leon and Arbiter. Play Karn Great Creator. Wish. And I think I get Coding. Play Coding. Now if I have to, I can wish for Ensnaring Bridge next turn. Or I can get like a big Walking Ballista. Thankfully that punt did not lose me the game on the spot. Thankfully. We untap. Draw Honors is mine. I think I wish for Wormcoil. Do I? Because their last card could be like a path. But we need to get above... We need to get above 1 life. If my opponent has a path or an on thin ice, I'm going to be sad. I guess if it's an on thin ice, I can just blow up the land. We got there. 1 life. Both games. Even through Kano punting. We got there. See you guys in round 4. Round 4, we're on the play with the Tron draw. We even have game versus Dredge, just in case they are Dredge. Alright. So we lead on Power Plant, play Star, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They lead on Forest into an Amulet. Okay. We draw Power Plant. Cycle Star for green. Get another tower. Play Tower. Scrying. Get mine. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. And I mean, if they've got enough land plays to just, like, get up to Titan, we're screwed. They play Growl Turf. Untap it. Float mana. Bounce Forest. Play Dryad. Play Forest. Play Grazer. Put Simic Growth Chamber into play. Picking up Forest. We untap. We draw Thragtusk. Players is mine. Play Karn. Nuke a bounce land, as that is our best hope of them not immediately killing us with a Titan. And they could still have 2 bounce lands in hand. Like, that is a possibility. There's a Growl Turf. They untap it. Float mana. Bounce Growl Turf. They play a Growl Turf. Untap it. Float mana. Bounce Growl Turf. Summoner's Pact. They get Primeval Titan. Wow. I think that was our best possible draw versus their deck, and they still had it. They are killing Karn. And they can even get, like, Ghost Quarter here. So they could take us off of Tron. Yeah, we're just dead. Turn 3, on the draw, we died. Unbelievable. So, Nature's Claim's in. Wormcoil Thragtusk out. I don't know how we get a much better hand than that, so we basically have to hope our opponent has to keep a bad hand, which is, if your only game plan is hoping that your opponent is bad in any way, hand, like, line that they take, your game plan is not a good plan, and you should anticipate to lose. Oh, man. Alright, I will play first. We have Tron. Lead on Power Plant, play Sphere. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They kept a hand of 7, so presumably it's good. Forest Amulet. Alright, let me top deck a Nature's Claim, please. Cycle for green. Play mine. Play Sphere. Cycle for green. Play Star. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays an Arboreal Grazer. Puts a Valakut into play. And plays a Turn Timber tapped, which they untap. They pass. We untap. Draw Oblivion Stone. Play a tower. Cycle Star for green. We get a Sylvan Scrying. Play Karn Great Creator. Wish. Get a Coding. Play Coding. Play Relic. So our only hope is to, if they play a bounce land, we turn that bounce land into an artifact before it untaps and can produce mana. That's basically it. I could have stopped them from having red mana this turn, I guess. But they play Castle Garenbrig and a Forest. Okay. They pass. We untap. We draw a Power Plant. So we're going to go for the Sundering Titan play. Shut off Castle Garenbrig, play Tower, Wish, get Sundering Titan, play Sundering Titan, This is where they dismember their own Dryad because they just always have everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. Got him. Pass the turn. The last time I played Sundering Titan versus this deck, I think it was actually Green-White Amulet, or Green-White Dryad Titan, or whatever it was called. They pathed their own Dryad in response, and I ended up blowing one of their lands up and one of my lands up, and it was very disappointing. And so me being on tilt, that's like the only scenario I could imagine was that happening again. Going on to round 3, we have to hope our opponent keeps another abysmal hand. There's not a lot we can do if they don't, even with our best draw on the draw. We're gonna keep this hand because it's Tron, but like, short of like mapping for Ghost Quarter and trying to interrupt their bounce land combo, I don't know what we do. Hope they mulligan to 4. Like, it's just like the only ways that we win is our opponent being in a bad situation or being bad at the game, which is not something we can hope for, because like most people that you play against will actually play quite reasonably. So I fully expect to lose this game, but I'm going to try really hard to win. Our opponent mulligan to 6. We're keeping 7. They're debating the 6. Okay, they start with 6. And they lead on Colony Garden. Thankfully, that is not a fast start. We draw Karn. That is at least a threat. Play Expedition Map. Okay. Opponent untaps, draws. They play Amulet. They have Ghost Quarter. So we untap, draw Nature's Claim. That's good. So what we do is we play Power Plant. We immediately map for Tower, because if my opponent Ghost Quarters at any point, we just Nature's Claim their Amulet. Opponent plays Gruul Turf, untaps it, floats mana, bounces Colony Garden, plays Dryad, plays Vesuva, copying Ghost Quarter. What a jerk. This tells me that their hand isn't fast, though, which I guess maybe we take solace in. Opponent Ghost Quarters us. We get a forest. They Ghost Quarter us again. We get another forest. Do we let them keep Amulet or Dryad? I think Dryad's the more dangerous one, right? They're holding a Colony Garden and have 3 cards in hand. I'm going to take out the Dryad. No idea if that's correct. We untap. We draw an Urza's Mine. Sylvan's Scrying. Get Ghost Quarter. Play Ghost Quarter. Pass the turn. And I'm going to Ghost Quarter them on their draw step. We know they have Colony Garden, so they do have up to 3 mana this turn. My intent is to actually deny them a mana here to prevent them from playing another Dryad or an Azusa. Asusa or Azusa. I don't even remember how the correct way to say it now. People are going to give me crap for it, but... So they play Colony Garden, they get a plant. We draw another tower, play Mine, play Relic, pass the turn. Maybe, just maybe, we get this Karn Great Creator down in time. Opponent plays a Simic Growth Chamber. I'm going to cycle now because if I get Nature's Claim, it's probably worth. Okay, we didn't get it. They untap Growth Chamber. They float, they have 4 mana. They play Azusa, so they can get up to 5 mana this turn. They're transmuting Talaria West for Summoner's Pact. Okay, we untap. We draw another Urza's Tower. Play Urza's Tower. So my opponent definitely can play Titan next turn. And they definitely can play... They can definitely give it haste. Can I do anything about this? I don't think I can. If I had Chalice in the sideboard, I could put Chalice on 0, but I've never seen Chalice in a Tron Wishboard. I don't even think it would be good in a Tron Wishboard, because you'd only play it on 0, effectively. You would never play it on anything else. They're going to play Titan and give it haste next turn, because they're going to play their Simic Growth Chamber enough times to do whatever they want with it. So what is my best wish target here? They're going to play Titan, give it haste. They can't just kill us with Valakut, so they attack Karn with Titan to kill it. We're going to have Wormcoil Engine, Tower, Thragtusk, Tower, Forest. We're going to have 5 mana next turn. O-Stone doesn't do it unless I top deck Power Plant. So I think I wish for Bridge. That might stop them from attacking for a turn. Pass the turn. Here it comes. So opponent plays Growth Chamber, bounces it. 3 mana, they have Dryad. Never mind, we're just dead. We're actually just dead this turn. Even after all that nonsense. Because my opponent is not only going to get Titan, give it haste, they're just going to get a bunch of Valakuts and we're going to die. Oh. I know this matchup is supposed to be bad for Tron. but I really hate how resilient this deck is. Losing to Titan just feels bad. Yep. They go ahead and give it haste. They attack. Getting a fetch land and a second Valakut. It's 12 plus 7 is 19 damage. Oh, and they get to untap it. Okay. Yeah, we're actually just dead. They can just fetch their land and get 1 more damage. That was close, but I don't think we were winning that under any normal circumstances. I'll see you guys in round 5. Alrighty, we'll be on the play for round 5, and this hand isn't too terribly bad. I'm actually going to keep this. We got a lot of dig in this hand. Ancient Stirrings is indeed powerful, but multiple Ancient Stirrings in a row is, in generally, it's quite good. Opponent casts Prismatic Vista, or plays Prismatic Vista, cracks Prismatic Vista, finds a Swamp, and Changeling Outcast. Is this ninjas? We're against ninjas? We draw Ulamog. Cycle Star, add green. Another Sylvan Scrying. Ancient Stirrings. They force pitching Spell Stutter. Play a Forest, Ancient Stirrings. Take Power Plant, rest of the bottom. Pass the turn. So this does look like Ninja Fairy shenanigans. We top deck Tower like a boss. Sylvan Scrying. Get a Tower. Play a Relic. Make our opponent eat a card out of the grave. They likely have a Ninja this turn. Yeah, they drew the island. So they're going to ninjutsu either Ninja the Deep Hours or Clever or Ingenious Infiltrator is what it's called. So they get to start drawing extra cards. If we don't draw a threat in a hurry, we are in trouble. There's a threat, and we did it in a hurry. Play Karn. They have another force, that's pretty good. They don't, and they lose. Alright, versus ninjas. Veil of Summer in. Ulamog. Relic out. It is cool we see ninjas in the finals. I mean, our finals. We're not winning. We're not 5-0ing, but bad news is they're on the play this time. Also, I can't believe how well that hand worked out. Like I knew the extra dig was going to be good, but we had pretty great top decks. I do not want to keep this hand for fear of force. This hand, on the other hand, is great. Sorry for the yawning. It is very late. I'm trying to wrap this up so I can get this video processed and out for tomorrow. I'm a little bit behind on my recording schedule this week, but it's all good. I'll get caught back up, and everything will be fine and dandy. Now is a great time to mention, we are sitting at 28 subscribers away from 1,000. The all-important 1,000 mark. So if you haven't yet and you watched this long, please consider subscribing. It'd mean the world to me if you did. So we are going to keep this. We're going to put back the Forest. Opponent mulligan to 5. They play a Darkslick Shores and a Fairy Seer. So they're down to 3 cards in hand. We untap, draw Forest, play Power Plant, play Map, pass the turn. Opponent untaps, plays Polluted Delta, cracks Polluted Delta for an island, gets in for 1. Do they ninjutsu? Of course they do. They're ninjas. They ninjutsu, they draw a card. We untap, draw Wormcoil Engine, play Tower, sack Map and get Mine, pass the turn. Opponent attacks us with Ingenious Infiltrator, draws an extra card, plays Fairy Seer. I think they almost should have played that first before they drew. We untap, draw Wormcoil, play Karn. They do have a force pitching Spell Snare. Pass the turn. It's going to come down to whether or not they can counter this Ugin. If they can counter Ugin, we'll probably be too far behind on board to ever recover, even with multiple Wormcoils in hand. But if they can't counter Ugin, and it looks like they're going deep on drawn cards, they're going to be in trouble if they can't counter this Ugin. Okay, they replay Fairy Seer, so they have to have a Force of Negation. If they don't, they're going to be sad. They have dug themselves out of their mulligan, though. We untap, draw Chromatic Star, play a Forest. Force of Negation check. They got it. Game 3. Run it back. Alright, I would like to play first. This is not a keepable hand. This one technically is. Put back Karn. The only issue with this is if they have a force for the Sylvan Scrying. Pass the turn. Or I guess the threat, but if we get into an awkward, longer game, in theory, we might be able to Veil of Summer something. Opponent plays a Watery Grave. Thought Seizes. So they can take Sylvan Scrying from us. They do. They play Ornithopter. We untap and draw Ugin. Play a tower. Pass the turn. We'll leave up Veil of Summer. That was a pretty good Thoughtseize. Opponent plays Prismatic Vista. Cracks for a Swamp. They play Changeling Outcast and Changeling Outcast. I think I am going to cycle Veil here. We get a Forest. And we find another Sylvan Scrying. Okay. Well, I mean, short of a actual Urza's Mine, I think that was our best bet. Play a Forest. Play Sylvan Scrying. Get Urza's Mine. Play Sphere. Pass the turn. Opponent does not know about the Ugin. They untap. They play an island. 3 mana. Fulminator Mage. That's bad. I did not expect a Fulminator Mage out of the sideboard. They hit us for 2. We untap. Draw Ancient Stirrings. Ancient Stirrings. We do get a Power Plant. Rest of the bottom. Play Mine. Pass the turn. Getting one more turn. Waiting to crack the Sphere. Another Changeling Outcast, okay. Because if I have to play Ensnaring Bridge or something weird like that... Okay. What are the odds my opponent's last spell is a counterspell? My guess is 100%. Oh! -1. Triple kill. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays a Fairy Seer. They get to go Scrying. We untap. We draw Oblivion Stone. They put both cards to the bottom. Cycle Sphere for green. We get a star. Play Mine. Get Karn. Uptick Ugin to kill Ornithopter. Wish. Get Walking Ballista. Play out a big Ballista. And the game is over. So, other than that Amulet Titan match, that was a pretty decent 4-1. I'll talk about the list here for a moment. And, well, we'll open our treasure chest, then I'll talk about the list for a moment. Treasure chest number 1. 15 play points and a Leyline of the Void. I'm pretty sure Leyline of the Void is worth money. 10 play points and a Brushland. Treasure chest number 3. 5 play points, a Garruk Cursed Huntsman, and Ugin's Insight. Treasure chest number 4. 20 play points and a Shine Shadow Snarl. That is difficult to say. And treasure chest number 5. 5 play points, a full-arted Mila Crafty Companion promo, and a Firemane Avenger. Alright, not bad at all. Overall, I think this list is fine. This list is very close to what I would play in the current metagame, with maybe one minor adjustment. I think I'd drop one Oblivion Stone out of the main for maybe a Dismember or a Spatial Contortion, depending on how much aggro is running around in the metagame. I would like access to one Dismember effect. I think it would be important. Out of the sideboard, the only thing I think I would adjust is I would drop Crucible of Worlds in favor of some other sideboard Silver Bullet, maybe even Pithing Needle. Like, I would play Pithing Needle and Sorcerous Spyglass out of the side. I think that's actually fine. If you don't know which one to include, or you know what to name versus some decks versus not what to name versus other decks, or you have kind of a random meta with a bunch of jank running around and you need Spyglass or feel like you need Spyglass, I think that playing Pithing Needle and Spyglass in your sideboard is pretty reasonable. I don't really have any adjustments. I like the 19 lands. The Ghost Quarter saved us at least one time. We got really lucky this league. I'm not saying that this list is particularly good, but we got lucky a number of times. There was a number of times where we were just about toast and happened to top deck exactly what we needed. And despite my best efforts to punt, we actually 4-1'd. Versus the Yorion opponent, we were at 1 life both games. We almost lost, which was pretty crazy, but somehow we're able to navigate our way to victory. Oh, I just thought, the other thing you could play instead of Crucible of Worlds is you could play something like Sky Sovereign, which is a pretty good synergy with Karn Great Creator, because it lightning bolts when it enters, lightning bolts whenever it attacks, and you can actually plus Karn Great Creator to animate it into a 5/5 flyer and use that to attack. For those of you that don't know that synergy. Other than that, I think this list is totally fine. I would absolutely consider playing this list if you're playing Tron in the current metagame. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. Remember, you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few times have been earlier than that. I'm very tired and I'm going to go to bed. I've lost 12 pounds in 12 days due to an excessive amount of exercise and diet. It is healthy weight loss, and it is under control. It's going to start slowing down very rapidly, but I'm super, super stoked about that. And I have a couple of decks in queue that have been requested using channel points on Twitch, so expect a mono blue Tron list with some possible Strixhaven alterations for one of the requests, and one of the other requests that I got was a Tainted Remedy list. So if anybody has any ideas for how to brew a Tainted Remedy list, or has one that they want me to look at, please post it in the comments below. I'd be super interested to see it. And other than that, I want you to know that you're all wonderful human beings, and thanks for watching. Please, 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 if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, because we really need to get to that all-important 1,000 mark, and I can start making ad revenue off of my videos, which I can then recycle the funds of into this channel. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. You're all wonderful human beings, and I hope you have a good night. Bye!